set, go. Running in the fast lane, rolling with the hit squad, shining like gold, tear up the road.
Pittsburgh Steelers fans, what is going on? Oh, yes, it is Christmas Eve for Pittsburgh Steelers fans. No, we're not talking about the draft. The season is still going, and it is proof with what is going on Saturday in the NFC that it's possible, absolutely possible, for underdogs to go ahead and put up a major fight. Now, the Carolina Panthers did not win. It looked like they could have. They scored way too early and did not have enough time, and that Rams defense clamped down at the end. But what a fantastic contest that we got in that first game. I was going to go ahead and take the Packers and the Panthers and the points. As far as the Panthers right now in Chicago, 21-3 right now. I don't even think that game's at halftime, if I'm not mistaken. And I got to tell you, that's pretty amazing to me. But I picked them to win outright because I just feel like they were lying in wait. And losing that game really helps. But that's not who we're talking about. That's not what we're talking about. We are here to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they've got a game. And as you know, I was there last week. My good friend Dave Schofield is there this week. I was offered tickets. I, one, don't want to leave Jeff alone. And two, I don't want to go ahead and jinx it. I got my game. I don't want to be greedy. And I'm absolutely glad to be in the warmth. But it looks like we might have a warmer evening than we did last week. But if it's anything like it is right now in Maryland, it's actually fairly warm. Kathy's coming in from Pittsburgh. What's the weather like, Kathy? Please let me know that. As far as everybody else goes, good to see Jaime and Mark and Michael and Dr. Dion and Eric and John S. So it's great to see those names on here. Go ahead, tell your friends. This is your show. Now, this is going to be a short show. I know this show goes about an hour usually. It's going to be a 30-minute show because I'm coming back tomorrow night and we're going to have another show. So this show is called Let's Get Steelers Superstitious. And I'm a very superstitious person, and I have married a very superstitious woman. And I'm just laughing. Hello, Bad. Sticks is in Phoenix, says Pickens, you big dummy. The Steelers are not going to lose this game. I want to talk about that, too. Art Gordon asked, how am I feeling about the game? I'm actually optimistically feeling really good. However, I picked against them as strategy, just like Dave did. I don't do so well when I pick them to win. I do better when I pick them to lose. Seriously, I need to go back and check. But when I pick them to lose, I do so much better. So that's what I'm going to continue to do. Now, I want to talk about the fact that I married a very superstitious woman. And 20 years ago, I make comparisons to 2005. They're completely different teams, but oddly, a situation that is very, very similar. That was a 6-seeded team, and they had to win on the road the entire time. This is a 4-seeded team, a team that had to get a miracle to win the division. And man, I will never forget that as long as I live, that I got a chance to see that with my son, with my nephew and godson, nephew/godson. By the way, C-Mad, my son, Connor Michael Anthony Davis, C-Mad, I tried to get on the show tonight. I said, do you want to do the show with me? He's like, maybe. Then now he's out with his buddies at Buffalo Wild Wings or something like that. I know he's watching the game. He said, Dad, I watched the first game with you. I'm going to go watch with a Bears fan, one of his really good buddies. So they are out, and I have a feeling he's having a better time than his friend Sean Doris. Bad, do you know that our Pittsburgh Steelers have not lost a home game on Monday night in Pittsburgh since 1991? Absolutely, I do. That was October 14th, 1991. I talk about this all the time, and I talked about it a lot back in December, because the reason I talked about it was because the Steelers were playing when I was pledging a fraternity at the University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown, and we watched the end of it on a black and white TV in the dorms. So that was just I wasn't living on campus at the time. I was actually living at home at the time before I moved up on campus. But yeah, I remember that well. So there's some streaks that are going to go ahead and end here. Hopefully it's the 8-9 game winning streak for the Houston Texans. Hopefully it's not the streak of the Houston Texans doing very poorly on the road, minus 40 degrees. That's why I'm curious about the weather. So Afton and Kathy, I know you're there. Let me know about the weather if you haven't done already. So I want to get back to my superstitions, though, because a new superstition just started. I wore a Ben Skoranek jersey the other night. And what happened, I was shocked at all the people that stopped me saying that is the coolest jersey. I bought it in the off season. I just thought that'd be really cool. Ben Skoranek is not an all-pro, but he came very close. He was third in the voting. You know who got 3 first-place votes, though? Carson Bruner. Cheers to him. I thought it was a nepotism pick. But he is a special team maniac. So very happy for Carson Bruner. That might be the next jersey. I might get a 44. I always thought if I played that I would like the number 44. I like numbers in the 40s. I think 40s, 44 would be a great number. My little league number was 13 though. But that was in baseball. In football was 68. So I had LC Greenwood. Then I had 76. Actually backwards. I had 76 and 68. So I had John Banaszak, and LC Greenwood. But let me get back to my superstition. So the Skoranek jersey is now, I got to wear that to games because that gave me amazing luck. I have a lot of jerseys to choose from, but I can't stop wearing that Skoranek jersey. Just like 20 years ago, I could not stop wearing the white Antoine Randall L jersey. I might bring out the white Antoine Randall L jersey and have somebody wear that in the house. Or I might have that on underneath. I don't know. But I don't want to mess with karma. Now, why did I bring up my wife? Well, she was not a Steelers fan at the time. She became one, and her family, because this is when I first started dating her. And you all know the story about me taking her to the January 1st game against the Lions, and I saw her crying when they were yelling one more year for Jerome Bettis. And I looked at her and I said, "Oh, this is the woman I'm going to marry. This is going to be the mother of my children." Because I didn't have any children at the time, even though I was divorced. No kids to the first one. But so what I'm really saying here is she shows up to this game in a brown tracksuit with pink trim. And they won in the game. And before I was to tell her, she continued. She said, "I have to wear this again." So she wore it every single game, including the Super Bowl. But we didn't watch any of the Super Bowl game. We didn't watch any of the playoff games together because I lived an hour away from her. And I would spend the night in Maryland And then I would drive back the next morning, and we wouldn't watch the game together because we hadn't planned to do that. And the first win was the win over the Bengals in the playoffs, where I wore that white Antoine Randall L jersey. And we decided that she should just watch it there and I'll watch it here. And her family thought it was strange because she had never watched football before. And she was watching games to be able to talk to me about my passion, which was great. So recently found that. And my daughter said, hey, next year we're going to go to the storage unit. We know where it is. We found the brown and pink tracksuit. I'm going to wear it. I said, little girl, you're wearing it tomorrow is when you're wearing it. So I have to go to the storage unit tomorrow to get it. And I don't care. I'm going to go get my shoe polish eye black. I'm going to be wearing that Monday night as well. That's what I used to do back then. I'm going to follow a lot of the same customs with wearing the stuff that works. And I think this Goronic jersey is going to be lucky for me. Either that, or you got to tell me, should I wear the Randall L instead? I don't know. What are your superstitions? I've got a bunch of them. I have an absolute crap load of superstitions. I usually like to do the same thing until they lose. So that's what I'm going to do. Robert Whitney makes a comment here. Hot rumor of bringing in Miami's old coach for OC if Smith leaves. I don't subscribe to the let's wait till the end of the season. I think Arthur Smith is going to end up being the head coach for the Tennessee Titans. That's just what my gut's saying right now. And I would absolutely not only bring in Mike McDaniels for a replacement, I would also bring in the guy, Raheem Morris, that just got let go in Atlanta as a defensive coordinator. If that's possible. And here's the reason why. Look, you're not going to get Brian Flores. Brian Flores is going to be a head coach in this league. And I'm not worried about Brian Flores if he goes to the Ravens. Because I think in the case of all three of these guys we're talking about, I think they are Hall of Fame type coordinators, but not Hall of Fame head coaches, not Super Bowl winning head coaches. So I'm actually hoping Brian Flores goes there. I might be wrong, but Brian Flores isn't going to make a lateral move right now. He's probably going to be a head coach somewhere, and he's earned it. But yeah, I would go to that well. I would bring experienced guys in. And seriously, at this point, if after they won that game against Baltimore, if you're still in the camp of I hope they lose so they fire Tomlin, they're not firing Tomlin. If they agree to leave each other, that's another story, but I think that takes a while. Mark Cunningham says, as Coach Noel used to say to Mark Malone, whatever it takes. Yeah, you do whatever it takes. Absolutely. Mark Malone, that's an answer to I had a pair of Steelers socks many years ago. I lost one sometime in the early 2000s. I wore the lone sock over my junk in 05 and 08 playoffs, but didn't for 2010. I'm definitely wearing it tomorrow. Please do not send me a picture of that. Actually, I could say this with a staunch record of heterosexuality. Yeah, send me that. I think that would be hilarious. It's like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I once a great radio man named Rich Adams, who I who hired me for my first radio job. We played a we used to play softball, and we'd go and take on high schools and organizations and the fraternal police and everything and stuff like that. And we were once at this softball game, and there are a lot of kids there, and he was wearing the Red Hot Chili Peppers shirt with all of them just standing there with socks on their junk. And people are like, you can't wear that. I'm like, it works. One, we're winning, and two, they're covered up. They're wearing socks. It's okay. Oh, great memories. Mean Green, excuse me. I have a Steelers game day shirt I wear only for a game, only to be worn on game day. If the team loses, I find another game day shirt to wear. I think that's cool. I agree with that. Great one. I don't think Smith is a good coach. I'd love to have McDaniel instead of Smith, who actually bring a modern offense. I don't know if you can replace him now when Smith isn't bad and already has the job. I can see Smith leaving very soon, if not this year, after next year. Not that I think he's doing a terrible job. I don't agree with Great One, but I don't think I think McDaniel, I do agree that McDaniel would bring fresher stuff. And yes, I realized that, Mark, I realized that your comment was to Mark Malone. So yeah, whatever it takes. I once watched a game naked. No one was home. I wouldn't do that to my family. Great one. I do like what Johnson is building in Chicago, but it's his first year and it's not their year right now. Remember the first year of Bill Cowher? They were the number 1 seed, and they had a game at home against Buffalo and lost 24-3. They had to start building and building. And I know the Texans have playoff experience, and they have a great defense, but a great defense played today in Carolina. And I absolutely feel that Aaron Rodgers could find a way to score some points. They have to be smart. They need to be innovative and not old-fashioned. That's why I'm bringing up Steelers Freak. They need to find and pay for an innovative OC. They can be innovative tomorrow, but just smart. Let him have complete control of the O and let him find his QB. I believe any other moves are a waste of time. I get that. And Great One wants to clarify, bad. I do not think Smith is a good head coach. He's a fine OC, albeit old-fashioned. Well, they don't need old-fashioned right now, and you're right. I'm glad you clarified. I did not completely disagree with you. Who's going to be the X factor for the game? Asks Art Gordon. And I love your King of the North there. I think that's a King of the North avatar. That's awesome. Am I frozen here? Can you hear me? There we are. I just saw my face frozen on the screen. The X factor, I think, on offense continues to be Pat Freiermuth. He has to be used. On defense, they have to stop who I think is the X factor for the Houston Texans on offense. And that is, my gosh, I think it's Schultz. I was about to say Schwartz, but it's Schultz. I believe it's Schultz. If I'm not, my brain just went, because I looked up. I mean, I've been studying Houston Texans players, and Dalton Schultz. I was going to say Dwight Schultz. If anybody could tell me who Dwight Schultz is, you are going to get my admiration. I almost said Dwight Schultz. And let's see if you know that one. I'll tell you after the break if you don't tell me who Dwight Schultz is. We are going to talk about some of these questions here. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Stick around. It is the Q&A here on the Fans First Sports Network's Steel Curtain
Ready,
Network.
set, go. Go. Ready, set, go. Running in the fast lane, rolling with the hit squad, shining like gold, tear up the road.
All right, we are back. It's the Steel Curtain Network. It is Saturday Night Live, as as dubbed by my good friend Afton. And Afton went ahead and answered the question first in the break. She said the A-Team guy. Yes, Murdoch. Was it Mad Dog Murdoch or just Murdoch? I should know that too. Man, I must be getting old. But yeah, I knew it was the A-Team guy. That's why I said that. So that's awesome. I want to read back some of these comments here. We've got about 10 minutes left in the show because it's going to be a short one. I will be back tomorrow night for a Sunday night edition. We're talking about Superstitions. So if you do have anyone, Howling Mad, not Mad Dog, Howling Mad Murdoch, Afton, you're the best. And also, make sure you see Dave tomorrow. And give Dave a big hug. Because, he has to give a hug to you guys because I've never met you. So I think that would be great. I'm glad you get a chance. I had a chance to go to the game, but I once again, I don't want to leave Jeff all alone either. So here we go. Let's go ahead and look at some of these things. By the way, if you haven't noticed, yes, I am very scruffy. And one of my superstitions back 20 years ago, and I shaved after they won the Super Bowl, but I let the beard go the entire time. So as much as it's itchy and bothers the heck out of me, I don't know how beard guys can do it. I hate it. My wife thinks I look like a cheesy porn star when I have facial hair, especially if I just have a mustache. But that's fine. That is absolutely fine. I want to go ahead and look at some of these things here. Mean Green, the difference maker I believe the Steelers have is Aaron Rodgers. I think he is a difference maker. How many times has he been in these exact situations in his career? I feel he has some surprises left in his Hall of Fame career. I don't think anybody is. I'm not keeping receipts anymore. I think everybody believes in Aaron Rodgers now. And I don't think there's many of you, unless he is completely horrible on Monday night, think that he shouldn't be back next year. I definitely think he's the only way I think he's definitely not back is if the Steelers win the Super Bowl, which I'm not saying they're going to. I'm just saying that you retire and you ride off into the sunset. My son asked me during the Rams game today, do you think this is Stafford's last year? I said, well, if they win the Super Bowl, yeah. Yeah, I think you leave on a high note. So yeah, I definitely think that's what you do. Dylan Green, why is our prevent defense so bad? I know you're not supposed to let anyone get behind you, but the Steelers prevent seems really bad. I'm going to quote Dylan. I'm going to quote my good friend KT Smith, who said that he can't tell you why it was so bad the other day, but it was blown coverages. Patrick Queen was not supposed to be the guy covering him. So if you're down on Patrick Queen, don't be for those plays. I'm a big Patrick Queen fan, but don't be for those plays because he's physically not supposed to be able to cover him. Joey Porter was actually calling over to Kyle Duggar to make sure that he locked down. And Joey Porter recognized it, but there was nothing he could do about it because it wasn't on his side. I think Joey Porter is starting to see things like a coordinator, and I think that's a good thing. But no, I can't tell you why it's so bad. I feel that it's something that they can fix. And one thing Kevin did say the other day, he said this. He said that on one of those touchdowns, two guys had him drop for a loss, and he got away. Lamar Jackson got away and launched it. And they were so worried about Derrick Henry killing him that they were playing more run even in those situations. I don't think it's going to be the same this week, but I can't wait. I'm so pumped for this game. Dylan Green asks us, why doesn't anyone nationally believe in this team? It seems like every team has flaws. I think the Steelers have as good as a chance as anyone. Dylan, I am going to answer that question emphatically. And please don't take offense to this. Don't care. I am thrilled, absolutely thrilled that nobody believes in them nationally. The bad thing is if they win this week, you're going to have people starting to believe in them. People didn't believe in them when they were playing the Colts, which that 20th anniversary is coming up this week. Nobody believed in them. Nobody should have believed in them. But after that game, they went to Denver to play that game. Denver had just knocked off the defending champion New England Patriots. Nobody believed in the Broncos. And the 6th seed was rolling in. They could change minds in a hurry. And the minute that the national guys are on the Steelers side, I get nervous. I absolutely get nervous. The answer to, did Dave get his tickets sold, Kathy? I don't know. I'm not sure. But that's a really good deal, though. Awesome deal. Wish I could do it. Afton says, Dylan, they don't believe because this team has more personalities than Sybil. And that's another thing. That's true. Art Gordon, my biggest fear is we fall asleep fourth quarter, leaving big holes in the backfield. Yeah, that's a possibility too. Yeah, Mean Green, my playoff beard looks terrible, and I know it does. I feel I'm better looking clean shaven. Some people don't think that I look good clean shaven or with a beard. But that's okay. I'm not going to be in the movies. Dave Schofield says, Kathy, I did. There's my boy. There's Dave. Dave, you make sure you hug those ladies for me. Would I consider Roman Wilson a bust? Dr. Dion, that is a great question. Or Dr. D1. I like that even better. Dr. D1. No, I don't. I think Roman Wilson should be playing, and I don't think Roman Wilson should be playing, if that makes sense. I was bummed that he wasn't playing last week, but I think this is the formation on the field. This is the lineup on the field that Aaron Rodgers is most comfortable with. MVS had some big catches last week. Adam Thielen, Scotty Miller, Calvin Austin had big catches last week. And with DK Metcalf back, I think those 4 guys make him stronger. I really do. DK Metcalf does not have to do it all because they found a way to win that game. And those receivers did a good job. I think the most important receiver right now is actually Kenny Gainwell. I really do. I think Kenny Gainwell is so important, and obviously they do too. Afton says, I can't say that Roman Wilson is a bust so much as incomplete. Yeah. He's not getting an opportunity right now, but I don't think that means he's a bust. I like when we're underdogs, says Brian Strach. I'm going to try with Strachek. If I'm right, that's great. I love this one. Oh, actually, this one. But I want to go back to Dylan. We don't need any new fans, says Erica J. You're darn right. Where were you? Yeah, look, if I win the lottery, only people on my lottery list are the people that pay attention to me now. Don't come out of the woodwork if I win the lottery. I have a lottery list. I do. And there's a lot of people. I mean, if it's a big one, there's a lot of people in this live chat that's on it. Dave Schofield is absolutely near the top of the list, though. I will tell you that. So is Jeffy. Dylan Green, assuming the Steelers win, who do you want to see the next two games? What's the best matchup for the Steelers? That's tough to me. I almost would like to see. Okay, this is an interesting answer. I don't want to see the Buffalo Bills, but I'll take it because it's at home. And I like the idea of a rematch, but I would take it if it's at home. But I'd probably, right now, I think the Patriots, even though they have a good running game, they have good lots of stuff, I don't think I want to go to Denver right now. Just because that defense is so good. But if you do well, if you can thrive against the Texans defense, maybe you could thrive against Denver. So maybe, you know what, I just want to go next week and figure it out. And here's the thing. It's going to fall into place before we know it anyways. Jacksonville is a very dangerous team right now. But I would, and I follow Jacksonville a lot because I do work for them. Production work. But I think they're green, though. So is New England. So I would probably take a greener team. Steelers Freak says the Steelers could win out, but they will never be favored this year. That is absolute true. I did not know that Draymond Green is a huge Steelers fan. Thanks for letting me know that, Dylan Green. I'm finding out more and more. Draymond Green, that guy's a character. Mark Cunningham. Okay, family, here's my superstition. I always leave the room when Boz kicks. I've been doing it since he got the job. Remember all the kickers we went through after Sweezum blew out his knee. Oh gosh, you've missed some heck of kicks, but yeah, don't come back in the room. If the Super Bowl was on the line, would you still do that? I guess you would have to. That's amazing. Art Gordon, I miss Mount Washington. I cannot comment on that because you're absolutely correct. I don't know if he would be back this year even if they made it to the Super Bowl. But I betcha he would try. I think Deshaun could be back. Nice to see Isaiah Loudermilk possibly playing. I like that. Frosty should be on all lottery lists, says Frosty the Bear. Frosty, I think you've earned your way on. You've been a good friend to the show. Only 20 to 30% of third-round picks are considered successful. I am not surprised with Wilson or Johnson. Look, don't give up on Caleb Johnson. I'm not ready to give up on either one of them. And here's the reason I'm not. There's not a spot. Do you really want Caleb Johnson to have seized the number one role this year? If he did, that means that Jaylen Warren and Kenny Gainwell are either hurt or suck. And I think this is just going to be Denver team. Excuse me. I'm sorry. This is just going to be a veteran team. Bad any food traditions when watching the Steelers? Nope, just if it's yummy. I have no food traditions. In fact, we like to do themes when we host at the house. I have not been hosting recently, just for personal employment reasons. That's it. I love this. I can't fight this Thielen anymore, says the Pittsburgh Toddy. Also, don't forget about more than a Thielen. And my favorite, I got a Thielen. Little Black Eyed Peas, except for the last time the Black Eyed Peas and the Steelers were in the same stadium, did not work well because they were the halftime show. Mark, let's keep it up. 100. We've struggled with Jacksonville since they came into the league. Do you not want to see Jacksonville? I think they have a winning record against Jacksonville by 1. And if it's not a winning record, it's by 1. Let's see. You're right, Bad. Rather see Warren and Gainwell succeed and just wait on the young man. Yeah, they're going to be fine. I want to give players close to 3 years. And Roman Wilson, you got to give a little bit of a pass to. Remember, we're not fans the way we're fans if it wasn't for the Steelers giving a whole lot of time to Terry Bradshaw. All right. Looks like it's time to get on out of here. Everybody have a great night. Finish watching this game. We got to start watching some AFC games tomorrow. Jacksonville and Buffalo. I'm taking Jacksonville. I think a lot of people are taking Buffalo. I'm taking Liam Cohen, who I think should be coach of the year. Not Vrabel. I think it should be Liam Cohen. The other game, Philadelphia and the 49ers. I would probably take the Niners in the points, but Philly straight up. Philly's going to win this game. I'm not ready to say goodbye to them. Like to. Always root against Philly, but the other game, the other very important game, the Chargers and the Patriots. Something's telling me the Chargers, but I'm going to go ahead and say the Patriots in this game. So if it happens that way, then you are going to see the Steelers at Denver. And then you are going to see actually the Steelers at Denver and who else did I pick? Jacksonville and the Patriots. Jacksonville going to the Patriots. But you know what? An underdog is going to win. But I didn't say the Steelers are emphatically going to beat Houston. I can see Frosty the Bear. I think Bolts and Bills both win. I hate to be correctorson, but you know how I am with 80s music. And Mark, I love you. I gotta correct you though. The band was from Chicago, but I Can't Fight This Feeling was actually by REO Speedwagon, who tours with Chicago a lot. In fact, they just, I think Speedwagon, because of irreconcilable differences, they just broke up. But both of them had songs in the top 10, You're the Inspiration, and I Can't Fight This Feeling were right around the same time in 1985. But it's a great song, though. You're not the only one. I think so many people think that's Chicago. It actually sounds like it should be a Chicago song. You've Lost That Lovin' Thielen is now coming in. But Mark C, Chicago was friggin' great, says Toddy. And Art Gordon, Riding the Storm Out, which was an REO Speedwagon song too. Gosh, you guys are great. I love you. All right. 40 minutes in, I got to get on out of here. I'll talk to you tomorrow. But make sure you check out all the shows we have here on the Steel Curtain Network. And it is absolutely going to be great. Mean Green. Love to see the Steelers hosting the AFC Championship game. That's possible too. That is absolutely possible. With, you can see a team like the Chargers beating Denver. You can see the Bills beating Denver. And that would mean if the Steelers won those two games, they could be hosting. All right, Debbie Dickerson, you made my night. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Mark Cunningham, Saturday in the Park. I think it was the 4th of July. I'm going to leave it with Chicago and REO Speedwagon. I'm going to say this. You all are a hard habit to break. So are the Steelers. But it's time for me to fly. We will talk to you later. Just when you think you've got all the answers, my friends, we keep changing the question.
Ready, set, go.